Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We're taking a look here at Tuesday's in-season tournament 2-game main slate. James, how we doing?
Doing well. Big fan of the in-season tournament and everything that it's been about thus far. Another fun 2-game slate we have on tap on Tuesday. Knicks, Bucks, Suns, Lakers. Not as high scoring projected as the Monday slate, as the Knicks Bucks game sits at a 225.5 total, and the Phoenix Lakers game sits at a 227.5. But like really good real life basketball games, should be a really fun overall slate. There's not a ton of, I guess there's some uncertainty. Not with any stars. It's more so with like Eric Gordon being listed questionable, sure. Gabe Vincent being listed questionable, Pat Connaughton being listed questionable. But like, we know Bradley Beal's out, but everything else is like straightforward. We're gonna get big minutes out of every star.
We assume, right?
We assume, yeah.
We'll see, right? We'll see how that all plays out.
Yeah, we have Thibodeau on, so at least we know for a fact the Knicks will play big minutes. One of 4 teams will guaranteed. We know Phoenix will play the 2 stars big minutes. Mm-hmm. We know Booker and Durant will play big minutes. LeBron's on a limit, of course, and his limit is 38 minutes. And
I guess my assume is really on Chris Middleton.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
That's
Chris Middleton,
sure.
25, 27, 23 in the games that he's come back from. Had some weird rotations in that Atlanta game. They like pulled him out for like the middle of the 4th and then brought him in for like the final like few minutes of that game. So, I'm very eager to see what some of the props look like for Chris Middleton here, because if they are projecting his props based off of a 25-minute and he goes and plays 35, he's going to smash the over on a lot of his props here today. So he's a good price tag at $6K. He's probably going to be super popular, even though the matchup isn't necessarily the best. As you mentioned, the game totals in these ones not as high as they were on the Monday slate, but Middleton can find himself being one of the better values here on the slate.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll get into it when we get to the Bucks. But let's hop into our little team by team breakdown here and start with the Knickerbockers.
Start with their opponent. Nobody up over 9K. Randall's 87, Brunson's 85, and then you get jump back down. Barrett, Robinson, Hart quickly up over 5K. You assume that's largely their core rotation. You'll get DDV in a little bit here as well. Thoughts on this matchup against Milwaukee? Because as we've gone about this year, they have not been a good defensive team. They have Giannis. Yeah, they have Brook Lopez that can protect the rim, but guards especially have torched them for a lot of this season. And Jalen Brunson having himself, a ceiling game a few games back against Detroit, 42 actual. Against Phoenix, he had 35 actual, went for 64 in that game as well. One game against Milwaukee, 45 actual already this year. Brunson shaping up early to be one of the favorites of the slate.
Yeah, I guess the Knicks are going to be really interesting here because the price of there's a lot of star power, right? Giannis, Booker, Davis, Durant, James, Lillard. Do you essentially, on a slate that you can look at and be like, not a lot of good value again because it's a 2-game slate and there's not a lot of injury news that we have at this moment. Is it worth allocating your funds to an $8,500 Jalen Brunson? I'm not saying it's not. I just think it's interesting.
Slate, it is.
Yeah. I kind of agree because it is the place to target Milwaukee now. They're 21st in defense this year, and I've told you they've definitely been better lately since they talked about that rotational switch, and they're playing more drop coverage, and that's why Brook Lopez and Giannis have both been blocking more shots. Over the last 10 games, they're 8-2, and I just wanted to look at that span. They're 13th in defense, so clearly there's been progressions, but at the end of the day, it is still Malik Beasley and it is still Damian Lillard playing almost 40 minutes a night in that backcourt. So I agree on where I think the Knicks exposure should come from. Not to say Julius Randle doesn't have like a ceiling or anything. He does, but Brunson is, I think, infinitely a better play. $200 cheaper. I know he only has the one position, but you mentioned it. There's already been success, and it's just an infinitely better matchup individually for him than Randle. So if it was between the two that I was picking, I would definitely lean the Brunson side. Because he obviously doesn't have to deal with as much. If he goes into the paint, he does, but as much as Randall will with Lopez and Giannis at the rim.
Yeah, and I mean, even to that point, like, sure, their defense has been a little bit improved. They beat Atlanta 132. They still let up 121 points in that game, and
Sure.
Trae Young and DeJounte Murray went for 30 each. Against them, guard play was just going to continue to be their weak point. I think for sure. So, excuse me, going up against there, they let Kyle Lowry score 21. Josh Richardson scored 20 against them, guys that we don't consider to be like prime offensive talents anymore, still attacking them with their front court. They had the Bulls game where they were without Levine and DeRozan, and Kobe White went for 23. So, Brunson for me was when I saw this matchup, I was like, all right, if we're looking for guys that could go for 60, well, he's done it twice in the last 4. And he's going to be $2,000 cheaper than every other guy that can go for 60 on this slate. And he's done it already against this very team this season. So for me, looking at this matchup alone and then the slate in general, for the 2-game slate, basically, like I said, it's a showdown +1. If people aren't going to get to that 8K range, is what we saw on the the slate for Monday as well. Like, it was very difficult for a lot of people to pay up. A couple of guys they were being selective with. And there's more spend ups on this slate. So more people maybe going to try to jam in more of a LeBron, Giannis, AD, Lillard. So I like Brunson a lot here. And then my interest isn't really there much more. Now, quickly, I think he's going to get a ton of love because of all the reasons I just said. I liked Brunson. You're going to attack the guards. He's $5,200. He's going to see minutes in this rotation here. Went 5 for 10 in 21 minutes against them last time. So, I think that's where I'm looking at when it comes to this Knicks side. I'm just going to look at Brunson. I'll look at quickly and see what the rest of the slate looks like.
Yeah, I like quickly in tournaments for sure. We know he's going to take a lot of shots when he's out there. I am definitely intrigued by the Josh Hart minutes of late. 30, 32, 31 minutes for Josh Hart in each of the last 3 games. 32, 22, 32 fantasy points over that span, $5,300. He's just a solid player. We've seen Quentin Grimes minutes just steadily decline. I mean, he's still averaging, but he was averaging 23, and now over the last 3 games, 19, 16, 21 minutes, like clearly losing out time. We know RJ Barrett's minutes are just kind of what they are, like high 20s, low 30s, and you'll never see more than that from RJ Barrett. So like Hart being $900 cheaper than RJ Barrett, coming off 3 games where he's played more minutes than RJ Barrett and has been more productive from a fantasy perspective than RJ Barrett. I definitely have some interest there at 5,300. You can take a dart throw on DiVincenzo if you get like the good shooting game from DiVincenzo. I mean, he's coming off 7 for 10, 21 actual. He's now played 22 and 23 minutes in each of the last 2 games. Like there's always that scenario where like Thibodeau just rides the hot hand, but it is largely Brunson, Hart, and quickly for me with a splash of Dante DiVincenzo love as well.
Yeah, and everything that we said about this too, based off what we saw from the Monday, is that these 5K plays are going to be popular. The majority of the Pacers were the chalkiest of chalk because they're all in that range. So because it's just 2 games, you'll probably see a high. It probably wouldn't even shock me if Hart's the highest rostered player on the slate, right? Probably. So I'm with you there. My 2 favorites still, just for the scoring aspect, the GBP winning potential there, I think, is still Brunson and quickly, but Hart definitely deserves the consideration in that as well. Over onto the Milwaukee side, again, you have an 11-4 Giannis. If you can jam him in, more power to you. It's not going to be easy on this 2-game slate unless we get some guys ruled out and some value does in fact open up. I find myself again maybe looking towards this mid-tier, Middleton, Beasley, Portis, guys that we know will play at least 25 minutes, if not more, depending on the rotations here, and guys that have some ceiling. So, it's not that I'm saying you don't use Lillard or Giannis, but I'm kind of, again, looking at this mid-tier range as guys I'd rather play on Milwaukee tonight.
I'm a little split here because clearly Giannis and Dame have like figured it out and they just look awesome. And sometimes we just talk about raw points. And if you can build a lineup around Giannis, like I would love to do that. 68, 64, 61, 69 fantasy points in 4 straight games. Like there are a few players on this slate that just have that raw fantasy point upside. I know he's $1,300 more than Devin Booker, who's the second highest price play of the slate, but it's just like, if that's what I'm starting my lineup with, then I feel really, really good about it. And conversely, like Dame, I mean, again, like over his last 5 games, 50 fantasy points per game, 27, 9, 5, and a steal per game, shooting 50% from the floor, almost 37% from 3. Like we knew these numbers were going to rise.
Yeah.
They needed the comfortability factor was just something that needed to take place. And now you're seeing how fruitful this relationship can be.
I think I think the matchups have a lot to do with it too. I mean, they run the Hawks, the Bulls, the Heat, the Trailblazers, the Wizards, the Celtics, the Wizards. Right? Like they're not facing exactly brick walls of defense these last few games here, where a lot of their success has come. Now, Lillard did have 30 actual against the Knicks earlier, and we do like to go at Brunson a little bit more because he's a smaller guard. But if they're given more minutes to Hart could be someone that finds himself guarding Lillard here in some of these spots as well. And sort of the same thing with Giannis. I mean, Giannis is going to have to deal with Mitch Robb and Randall, kind of a little bit of a tougher front court than he's had to deal with recently. Again, it's not that I don't think Giannis, you're 100% correct. He can go off and, give you a ceiling game, but he's already playing 40 minutes a night. So I don't think we're getting a boost in production because he's going to be on the floor more. You might just, like you said, still get 60 out of him, which could be fine, but you're paying 11-4 for it on this slate. And what's that going to come at a cost to you have to put in your lineup to fit him in there?
Yeah, that's the kicker. It's like, if I'm comfortable with my lineup, I kind of want to get I'm not saying I have to get to Giannis, but if I'm comfortable, like I'm going to build a lineup with him, and if I'm comfortable with it, I'd be okay going there because just the raw point ups.
Yep, that's fine. And like I said, Middleton, he's going to play at least 25, maybe the in-season tournament. Now that he's played 3 games since coming back from re-injuring himself, that he'll get a bump, which would be nice. Beasley, another guy that's just playing a bajillion minutes, and we always talk about. I mean, he's hitting all. I mean, look at these 3-point shooting: 4 of 11, 4 of 8, 5 of 15, 4 of 7. 2 games of double-digit rebounds randomly, like $5,700. Like, of course you're going to play this. Now, if you end up getting 35 minutes out of Middleton, some of those shots are going to go away, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Beasley's this kind of player. He's kind of been this way through his career. He goes through these ridiculously hot stretches like he did last year for Utah, where he didn't miss for 2 weeks, right? Like he was the hottest player in the league. So you got him at 57 in a 2-game tournament. And then you have Bobby Portis, who, again, comes off the bench. Minutes will kind of sporadically be around there, but you can lock him in for like 23-ish, 25. And he can be a guy that goes out there and gives you a 30. Now, his variance is obviously a lot higher, and this is not a great matchup for opposing front court. So, maybe you pivot, again, more towards the guard play than Portis. But, I also don't mind giving Portis a look in tournaments here. To the Middleton Beasley, there's no Crowder, no Connaughton, Jackson may not be available. So shortened rotations as it is, maybe those minutes are there regardless for those guys.
Yeah, they seem like they're going to be pretty much there. They have also I could see this becoming a pretty popular play, but because recency bias is a thing. If I see Cameron Payne like 40% owned, that's the quickest fade of all time. He is probably gonna play like 17 to 20 minutes. If you look at like recent game logs, he's been 17 to 20 minutes, essentially all but the Bulls game, because they're kind of shorthanded, like you said. Like if there's no Andre Jackson, Cam Payne might absorb those minutes, and he's $4,100. I don't want to play Cam Payne. I'm just letting you know that I could see a scenario where Cam Payne gets some ownership on top of the other guys you mentioned.
I mean, people 40% of the field play Peyton Pritchard on Monday, projected to play Peyton Pritchard on Monday. So cheap guys that are finding minutes here on a slate. You want to play Giannis, you almost have to play Campaign, right? Or Jordan Goodwin, who we'll talk about right now, right? Like going over this $4,900 Jordan Goodwin is probably going to be fairly popular, even given the current role and production for him here, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would say, well, I guess it depends because you get Booker back, and Booker immediately is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna play 37
sure.
minutes, no problem. And they went back to like a Kogi playing mid to upper 20 minutes. They played Bates Diop playing 18 minutes. Like it's so impossible to figure out the rest of this rotation. Nasir Little came back, played 19 and 15 minutes in the back to back. Like I don't disagree on the Goodwin front because I think he's a good fantasy
Especially if
point per minute
Gordon
guy.
doesn't play. I mean,
They just like, it's so difficult to pinpoint anybody not named Devin Booker, Kevin Durant in this rotation. I mean, Nurkic took 18 shots in the Memphis game is great to see, but he fouls out in 26
it's just the
minutes.
beast of the 2-game slate, right? Like
It's the beast of the 2
you're gonna you will get rostership on Okogie, Goodwin,
Allen,
probably KBD, even Allen. If Gordon's out again, like those, like
yep.
you're just gonna people are gonna be like you said. Well, I got to figure a way to get Giannis in my lineup. Well, how are you doing that? You're taking darts on 4K, under 5K Phoenix Campaign, stuff like that. Because the Knicks didn't really have anybody. You can throw DDB in your lineup. Like that's about as cheap as you go. He's not even a good player even when he gets minutes most times. So, it's got to be Phoenix here. It's got to be the Campaign Milwaukee play, or with the Lakers. I mean, Prince, Reddish, Hachimura, Christie, Wood. Is Vincent coming back for this too? Will not play Saturday. I mean, like, could Vincent come back? I mean, like, there's again, but do you want to play an AD or a LeBron? Like, you got to find a way to jam, which is kind of like we said on the Monday show. Fair and balanced lineups are kind of the way they're being built. So I just go back and I'm like, all right, fair and balanced lineups. Well, unlike that last, the Monday slate where felt like there was a lot more viable 8K, 7K plays, there's not as many. There's a lot more guys that are in the 5K, 4K range. So maybe you get a LeBron and a Brunson in your lineup and you're surrounding them with the 5Ks and some of the 4Ks that we've talked about. And that's where your double dip comes into play. And we'll find out in a moment because we're going to make a lineup. So,
dude, the Lakers rotation is an absolute nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Vanderbilt came back and played 13 minutes. And literally, I mean, Davis and LeBron played big minutes. They both played 35 minutes. Yeah. Go find me another player on this team that played 30 minutes. Yeah. You can't.
Hachimura got 26, encouraging. Reeves gave you 22. Good
but that's what I'm saying, like 20, 22.
Reddish played 25. Russell played 26. Christie
Prince played 29.
29 still, starting still.
And I get it. I'm not saying that they're like, you're picking out of a hat here, though. Like, if Max Christie started that game 0 for 4, is he playing 29 minutes in that game?
Probably not.
If, like, Rui Hachimura, if they don't like, dude, he hasn't played. No, the Hachimura game, he hasn't even played yet. He's going to play in Tuesday. Right. He did not play. But the report is
minutes on Tuesday.
Dude, so now we're taking more minutes away from who? Who is he taking minutes from if he's going to get minutes, right?
Christian Wood?
Dude, this is Jackson Hayes. Yeah, I mean, this is an absolute nightmare for guys not named Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Yeah. Russell probably gets a little bit more secure. Again, I don't think with this being an in-season tournament game, they're going to go that deep into their bench. So,
sure.
Yeah, I think Russell gets the minutes. I think whoever starts, gets 30-ish, and then, maybe there's a rotation there at one of the wing spots. I think you lock in LeBron, AD, and Russell as safe plays here for the Lakers. Is just whether or not you can either find the right guy. Reddish has been playing a lot all season. Reeves has been kind of a guy that plays a lot all season off their bench. So maybe you figure it out from there. But I'm with you. It's different. It's going to be interesting to see again how this all plays out.
All right, let's build Brunson, Hart,
Where's it?
And then I don't know where to go.
Brunson, Hart. Let's see. Where's what's our center play on this slate?
I bet you like one of the Milwaukee /
Mitch Rob?
Nick centers are going to be highly owned. Yeah, Mitch Rob playing 30 plus minutes, 5,500. There's a ceiling. He'll probably be pretty popular. Hope you get him. Hope you get the out of foul trouble 6-block game from Mitch Rob.
Let's see here. So we got 6,100 or Brunson, Robinson.
If we played LeBron at power forward, what would that do? Oh, dude, AD with power forward eligibility now.
Smart.
That is a
love to see it. Love to see it.
That is a new.
Quickly, what are we doing here? Quickly, there's our campaign at 41. Got 4 Knicks, so can't really throw more Knicks at us here.
4 Knicks. We went quickly. Oh no!
Just stack it up.
Oh no! Oh, it's like the best defensive matchup in the league. Not really, but it's just like. I mean, I think both these teams. Milwaukee's actually 5th in pace, so that's good. At least we have the Knicks 24 spots up in pace. The Knicks are 29th in pace, and the Bucks are 5th. So at least we have that going for us in our Knicks stack. But I have Middleton, Beasley. Oh my god. Maybe some Grayson Allen first to like break up the game, break up that game. Or like Durant over
$200 off.
$200. I mean, Okogie. Go Okogie over Allen, and then we could probably go. We can spend up on the Beasley spot.
You want to spend up on the best shooter in the league? To who? Roston Reeves?
Yeah, I know. I was looking. I don't know. Good luck.
I mean, again, like I don't mind the Knicks because it feels like the way the defense is being played on Milwaukee, like those guys might score. So,
move from Middleton. No,
I like Middleton if he's going to play. I'd love to get DeAndre Russell in here somehow. I just don't know where it comes from.
You go.
Does Russell go to guard? Can we get anything there?
I mean,
his AD is even more than like Booker. He's forward only.
No, I mean, do we have a center? I was gonna say we could pay LeBron, but we don't have center eligible.
$4,400 Hartenstein.
That's.
Let's see. Well, if we go back to Mitch Rob, that gives us 85. I guess we go off of him then. We go Dame, 59.
Mr. Dollar.
Go back to Beasley, $200 left over.
Sure. Just full game stack with Josh Okogie.
That's where we're back. I mean, I don't know. Like,
Josh Okogie.
This is what I'm trying to say. Like, tell me how you're fitting Giannis in your lineup. Right? Like, yeah, you have to get rid of both of these guys.
You're not playing Brunson.
Okay, 5,500. We'll throw Giannis at center. I mean, what does Brunson get you for 39? Yeah, you can't even play him. So I guess Russell, 48, 50.
You're back to campaign.
Back to campaign, yeah. Forward, gross. 56.
So gross.
Grayson.
So gross. Everything about this I hate.
Can't play him. So not playable. You got to play Anthony Davis. Like that's your center. You can go up off campaign. You can move Beasley into guard. Give yourself, throw Mitch Rob back in there, I guess. It's just what it is. It's just...
And then you're switching Davis and Robinson.
Sure. Yeah.
You already knew that.
But I mean, like I'm saying, like it's not easy to make it happen. So you can fit Giannis in your lineup. Like you're just playing all these 4K Lakers.
Yep. Agreed.
Figuring it out from there. So we'll see. We'll see what the roster looks like. Again, example lineup. We'll have the Sean Mitchell, I think, is writing up the 2-gamer for this Tuesday slate. Get us in the Discord. It's going to be another crazy night. Again, this is basically a showdown slate +1. So high rostership. The one variant play that you have, it could be the reason you win or lose a tournament. And then after the slate, we have a Monster Wednesday. So we can get back to a little normalcy with a player pool. But check us out in Discord. Find us on Twitter if you have any questions here, everybody. and we will help you all take a look again at this in-season tournament slate. It's been fun, and I'm excited to kind of see how all these games find themselves playing out. For now, though, everybody, we'll catch you guys later.